everyone. My name is Ashley Rothhammer, National Sales Manager with ITC, and I'm the WIFS Denver Rocky Mountain Chapter President. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the third installment of the Bossbabes Bootcamp webinar series, presented by Olenka Cullinan, brought to you by WIFS, iStart First, and Gamma. Just a quick note regarding Q&A. Questions or comments can be typed into the question box located to the side of the presentation at any time. Questions will be answered at the conclusion of the presentation as time permits. Before we dive in, let's take a minute to get to know our speaker better. Olenka is a speaker, founder of iStart First Bossbabes Bootcamp, Amazon best-selling author, Bossbabes and Millennial Success, and a Bossbabes and Millennial Success coach. Olenka has developed a backbone of success method that helps leaders to up-level their business and mindset. Her work as a startup venture mentor nationwide, combined with humor and personal experiences, led to her 2 TEDx talks, Phoenix Business Journal 40 Under 40 Class of 2017, Global Exposure, and made her into one of the nation's premier consultants. You can find her on social media via Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter at Olenka Cullinan. Now please join me in welcoming Olenka.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited to be on the call. Hope everybody's having a great day wherever you guys are. I am in sunny Arizona, so I'm not going to complain. We are finally back to our incredible weather with 80 degrees. So if you're still cold where you are, I'm sending you some sunshine. So I'm very excited again to be on this call. If you've been with me from very beginning, we have covered some incredible topics already in terms of you showing up for yourself, being a different type of leader, you know, sending information out to your team, making sure that you're doing all the things to inspire them and, you know, all the things to stay inspired yourself, because obviously leadership starts from you. So I'm very, very excited, as I said. And today we are going to talk about one of the most important things, in my opinion. The topic we're going to cover today is all about sales and marketing, because it doesn't matter what an incredible leader you are. It doesn't matter what incredible team you have, but if your sales and if your tools and if your team is not equipped with proper information, it's really hard to bring the financial piece of it, you know, scale it and inspire more people to join in. If you weren't with us for the last 2 installments, as you just heard my introduction, I've been named Millennial Leader in 2018. I've been named Phoenix Business Journal 40 Under 40. I actually do, my home base is in Phoenix, Arizona. I have been now in 2 books. My first book is Fashionistas, Tips, Sales, and Twitterals for Women Pursuing Their Dreams. Have done 2 TED Talks to date and get to have the privilege of traveling the world and speaking to women and coaching women and working with women. So everything I do revolves around empowering women to, you know, up-level their business and mindset. And there is a big difference for me personally. I always say my goal is not to inspire you. My goal is truly to empower you into action, because there is a big difference. Inspiration is short-lived. We get excited about things and then they sort of dwindle away. However, if you get empowered and if you find something that resonates with you and you accept it as your own belief, your goal is to implement it in your life. And that's really why I am doing what I'm doing. So, you know, we all know that real life success, a lot of times when we see it all glamorous on social media, we talk about, you know, magazines, everything looks beautiful and exciting and easy. However, obviously, real journey is very different. And when we start something, it's about a million things going on at once. I'm also very aware that change is very different for people, right? Nobody really likes change unless it's a baby in a wet diaper. So implementing new things is not going to be easy. And a lot of times we get impatient and we want everything to happen immediately, but it does take a lot of small steps and a lot of repetition and a lot of sort of dabbling into things before you accept that change as your own. So today we're going to talk about what I call kapow sales. And it's a, it's a very different approach because it truly starts with relationships. Because I'm sure you've heard this, adagio many times when we say people don't buy your business, they buy you. And I 100% stand behind it. I think it couldn't be truer because they truly buy you, especially in a service business like finance, where it is very difficult topic. A lot of people don't feel comfortable. I mean, it's kind of odd that it's one of the most important topics to talk about, and yet it's sort of one of the most taboo topics to talk about. A lot of a lot of people, and especially women, don't feel comfortable talking about it. And it's a very sensitive topic to get your clients to truly open up to you, to get them excited, and to get them, to share that information. So it is truly all about building relationships. I mean, true kapow sales that bring extraordinary results are nothing but relationships. People don't buy on money. People don't, I mean, if you are doubting me right now, I want you to think of things back in your house and especially in your closet, right? Since all of you are women on this call, think of how many things in your closet you really have because you need them, right? Most of it is because we want them. People buy on emotion and they're driven by emotion. And that's why if you look even in the marketplace, I'll give you an example. What is the most expensive technology company on the market? It's Apple, right? But then what is number one coveted company, technology company on the market that people sit in line overnight for and waiting for it, and sit in long lines outside of stores? That's Apple. So you see, in this case, people are not buying on price point because it is most expensive. They're not even buying on convenience because a lot of times it is not that convenient to have an Apple product if you don't have any other Apple products in your house. But people buy it because that brand builds such incredible relationships. They also drive with emotion. If you look at commercials and really break them down and look at the presentation of products Apple does, it's all based on relationships. I can give you another example of a brand like Jordans, right? If you look at young people who are wearing the running shoes, same thing. They wait in line for Jordans. People get into fights to get Jordans during holidays. Again, it's one of the most expensive shoe brands on the market, but again, it has that relationship, it has that relevance, it has that empowerment built into the brand, and that is why people buy it. People are very emotionally driven. So one of the techniques I teach with all the young sales team members is this acronym of FORM. And I teach them that any conversation they're having with anyone in their life should start with FORM. And if you've never used that, it is a great tool to build any relationship. And FORM stands for family, occupation, recreation, and money. So when I start conversations with people, I use it all the time. This is exactly how I structure all my conversations. When I meet someone new, my goal is not to talk. My goal is to ask questions and listen. You want to learn everything about them and them to know very little about you at the beginning, because that will be an opportunity for follow-up. So obviously everybody loves family, right? People love talking about themselves. That's just the truth. And everybody loves family. So when you learn about their family, it's immediate low barrier question, which means they will open up about it and share that information. Occupation, obviously, it's the easiest to talk about. What is that they do for a living? That also pretty much gives you an idea of where they are in terms of their lifestyle goals, in terms of their salary goals, and things like that. Recreation, what do they like to do for fun? Again, it opens people up. They start thinking about vacations and sharing, information they want to do or have done. And again, this is where it gives you so much immediately, because that pretty much shows you the lifestyle they're dreaming of or having. And then money, obviously, like I said, it's a taboo topic, but That's why it's lost, because at this point you've already talked to them about their family and their, occupation of their job and their fun times, and so money will be lost. And at that point, they're sort of giving you idea. Do they have enough? Are they willing to have more? What's their idea of wealth? So all these questions, literally, when I meet someone new, within 10 minutes, I have a pretty full picture of what they are, where they are in terms of their lifestyle, in terms of their goals and ideas, just based on this form. So when you're working to be best in the marketplace, there is this misconception a lot of times that your product or your service is going to lead the way. And so if you look, I'm giving you all these sort of parts of what it takes to have a company or to have a service business. You need to have a product or service. You need to have leadership component. You need to have sales and marketing. And then obviously you need to have profit margin, so you have a profit. Now, I want you, obviously we can't interact, but I want you for a second here to yourself, think, which do you think is the most important component of this chain? Is it a product? Is it, the ability of quality or leadership that you have? Is it sales and marketing, or is it profit margin? So I don't know what you thought about, but the most important piece here is actually sales and marketing. Because if you have a great leadership and you have a great product or service and you have great profit margin, but you don't have sales and your marketing is not good, so it's not bringing leads, you have no business. There are plenty of companies that we know that have okay products, like chia pets, right? When I moved to this country first and I saw chia pets for the first time, I could not understand that why somebody was buying pots of dirt with little grass hair growing out of it. But that's an example. That's an example of okay, almost silly product that now is so popular and so advanced, and that company is doing so well because their sales and marketing were driving incredible scaling opportunity. Another product that's super familiar to most of you, and especially if you have kids, if you guys have seen slime, slime is another product like this. I mean, somebody invented slime, and now all of our kids are playing with this. Again, it's not because the product is this great, but it's because sales and marketing are driving that product in the marketplace. So no matter if you have all other components in your business in place, but your sales and marketing is not on par, it is very, very hard to win yourself a spot of being the best in the marketplace. So when you're validating and demanding a demand for your product, it needs to be more important than anything. If you don't have a demand, right, it doesn't matter how well you price your service. If you don't, it doesn't matter how great of your team you have, but you need to have that demand. You need to have that sales and marketing driving everything. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs or as people who run our own businesses, we get so, we fall in love so much with your message, but you see, your message is not enough to drive your sales. You have to fall in love with your clients. You see, that's why I lead every conversation with form. I don't tell them about the products or services I offer. I literally tell them hardly anything about myself, because my goal is to fall in love with them. And my goal is to learn everything about them, because only then I can service them better. But a lot of times we drive with our message so much. But first of all, that message needs to be customized for everyone. And second of all, not every client we have is maybe necessarily even going to relate to that particular message. So if you fall in love with your client first and you drive with that in mind, it's completely going to change your business. If you learn to listen to your client and build everything from that point backwards, it's that same GPS approach. If you've been with me in the last two installments, it's the same idea of GPS approach. You figure out everything about your client first, you form them, you fall in love with them, and then you build your service plan backwards, and you build your product backwards from that point on to service that client the best that you can. So your sales, obviously, as I mentioned earlier already, is what will determine your success. So first of all, sell has 4 letters, but so does help. And your goal is to stop selling. You see, first of all, nobody likes to be sold. There are very, very few people who like to be sold. Most people get very uncomfortable when you sell them something. And they definitely, I mean, it's a natural reaction based on human psychology of literally backing out of when they're being sold. Their guard goes up, all their receptors are triggered, they become uncomfortable, and they literally just, freeze or shy away, or they're not in the place to have that open and honest conversation with you. Versus when you approach it with a place of service and you're trying to help them and you're leading with the word help, it completely changes the opportunity for your client to be there for you. You also need to stop pushing, because a lot of times in sales, when we are very close to our goal, or we're very close to closing a client, a lot of times, and we see it with our teams too, they get pushy. Okay, they get impatient, and it's probably one of the most important things is to learn being patient with your clients and keep building that opportunity. Value will always outsell yourself. If you give people more value at the beginning than what their money is worth, it will always outsell anybody who is pushy, anybody who is salesy, anybody who is too eager and excited. All you have to do is keep driving with value. And it's not that difficult to do. There's so much information on the market today. And you guys, just because you've been in the business for a very long time, all of you have so much knowledge that you can provide to your client. And if you just drive with that value of adding to them, and it can be done in very simple ways. It doesn't have to be done in one-on-one. It can be done in follow-up emails. It can be done via newsletters. It can be done via social media check-ins or text message check-ins. It does not have to be one-on-one contact, but you definitely can drive that value for your clients, and that's going to be a really big difference for them. You also need to obviously see every single one of your clients and situations is unique. And no, not every single one of them is unique, but you need to make sure that they feel that every single one of them is unique. If you've seen best people who do incredible sales, there is a line, right? That there is that saying, he made me or she made me feel like $1 million. There is a lot of truth to that. Best people who provide you with service or product definitely make you feel like $1 million. They make you feel exceptionally unique. They make you feel that everything that's happening is for you at that moment. And that is what makes your clients feel and be in a very different place. And you also need to stop selling harder and start selling smarter. And this is where I use the term champagne clients. If you've never done this, if you walk away with anything from this call today, I want you to walk away with the list and the idea for your champagne clients. And what I'm talking about here is this. You need to sit down today, and if you've never done this before, this is your chance. Literally take a piece of paper, and think of a list of clients that, one, can be easiest to reach and can pay you the most money, but also think of partnerships and collaborations that can bring you that sort of evergreen list of referrals. So is there an organization in your town that you're part of? Are you already being a part of charity network of sorts? Is one of your clients running a big company where they can, refer clients to you? So I want you to look for all the clients that you already have and think which ones of them can give you that evergreen list of referrals, the resources, ability to network with a lot of people, those are your champagne clients. What champagne clients allow you to do is having fewer clients with more referrals, so the leads are starting to become easier to come in. So you don't have to spend every single minute of it going out there, pounding the pavement and looking for your clients one by one. You want to figure out a way where the leads come in, the referrals come in from the few clients that you have, and those are your champagne clients. You want to build a relationship with them. You want to start working with them, giving them more attention, because obviously if you figure that out, like I have a client here in Phoenix who is a C-level executive. They just figured out an organization of moms here in town that pretty much became their source of all referrals. It's a very large community of moms. They get together. They now sponsor some of the events. They go talk to them. They build a really strong bond with that group, and they get in lots and lots of resources. So I know that you have groups and communities like that in your city or in your community or in your town. You need to figure out who those people are and start thinking of how you can get that evergreen list of resources and referrals from them. And that's your champagne clients. So that means working smarter, being able to get referrals, and not working harder where you're looking for clients one by one. I'm going to pause here for 1 second to see if we have any questions coming in so far.
So we do have some questions.
Okay.
What are the rules for success in sales?
Okay, great question. I am actually going to speak. It's awesome. Whoever brought this up, you guys are like peeking into my slides. I'm literally going to talk about that next. So we're going to skip this question for now because it's literally my next slide. Is there any other questions? All
I don't
right.
think so.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep this. Uh, so we're going to talk about success next. Um, so there is a formula for success that I look at. And here's how it works. It needs to be in this exact order. I highly recommend you guys have PDF of the slides. You can write this down. You can take a screenshot or snap a picture with your phone, but you do have a PDF of slides below, so you can actually save those. All right, it needs to go in this order: transformation, client, sales, and product. Because if you ever looked at sales strategies with your team or with anybody else who trains, normally they train it in completely opposite order from bottom up. Normally they say you need to have product or service, you need to figure out your sales, you need to find clients, and that will bring client transformation. I am telling you right now that all the best companies I know do it completely backwards, and that's why I have it listed here in this particular order. So it starts with your client's transformation, and that's why I told you you need to fall in love with your client. You need to know what type of transformation your client is looking for to basically buy the service from you. What is that they want? Because I promise you, when you have a client who is looking to retire, obviously their transformation is going to be radically different from a client who is a millennial and looking to travel the world, right? Their transformation, their goal to sit down with you are completely different. You're not going to entice a millennial with savings account and long-term bonds or whatever else you're offering to them. They want microwave. They want, what can I do tomorrow? Tell me what it's going to do for me tomorrow, what it's going to do for me next month, next week, whatever. So that's why it's so important that you fall in love with your client and learn about them and learn what type of transformation are they looking for, so they want to buy the service from you. So once you learn about that transformation process that they're looking for, you need to obviously start looking, or you can even decide, I only work with this type of transformations. I want to work with people who are looking to ABCD. And then you're looking for clients, and you're working for only with clients who are looking for that type of transformation. That in turn is going to drive your sales, because now you figure out your niche, you figured out the clients you're working with, and you're driving your sales and marketing based on that transformation process. So you're relating to client based on that transformation process. And then obviously you create your product for them or service for them based on the sales that you're willing to get. And so essentially your service or product will be the very last of that chain. And that's a formula of success in sales. Any company, Google, Apple, companies who are truly, owning the marketplace, Nike, this is how they drive it. They drive a very particular client in mind. They know exactly the story, right? Like in speaking, we call it the avatar. I know the avatar of the woman I built my company for. And so with that avatar in mind, I am looking for those women to become my clients. I am selling them based on my avatar and what they like and where do we go to grocery store. The more you have that picture of type of lifestyle transformation your clients are looking for, the easier it is for you to sell, because then you have a very, very clear picture of what you're selling them, what does it look like, how is it supposed to, benefit them, and what's going to get them excited. Because remember, I told you, people don't buy from, money standpoint. They don't buy from opportunity standpoint. They buy from emotional standpoint. So if you sit down with them and show them and tell them the story of what they dreamed about, of what their goals are, of what they want their lifestyle to look like, this is why they're going to buy from you and not anyone else. So again, it needs to go from transformation to clients to sales and then to product, in that order and not backwards, how many people are selling right now. And obviously we're coming back sort of full circle to what I said earlier. People don't buy from the companies. They don't buy from because, of the business or something else. They truly buy from you. And what they buy from really is, are you your brand? My first mentor, as I shared with some of you earlier, was Darren Hardy, who is a former publisher of Success Magazine. He is a coach to top achievers in the country. So his drive was always, are you your own brand? Because you see, Darren's brand is defined by one word, and that word is success. So his example he was given us, because his brand is driven by success, whether you are on a vacation on the beach or he was in a restaurant on the weekend, he's not going to show up in shorts and flip-flops because his brand definition is success. So whether it's, 6 in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or wherever he is, he's always going to look and define the brand success all the time, 24/7. If you have seen my brand and know what I stand for, my signature on my emails is sparkle up, right? So I always bring that sparkle no matter where I go. It shows in my clothing, it shows in the way I craft my emails, it shows in the way I do my promotional materials. So I deliver sparkle with everything I do. That brand carries through with me. If you go to my social media today, you will be able to define me before you even meet me. And that's the goal that you're trying to create. So again, if you've never done this before, what I would like for you to do is today, you can do it with your team, also sit down and describe 5 things or 5 qualities or 5 factors that define you as a brand. What is that you want to be like? And they need to be short and sweet. It is not an essay. You're not going to write paragraphs. What I want you to do is to really outline that, decide on those 5 short attributes. So literally it needs to be one word. If you're doing it as a team, a great exercise is have each of your teammates write down those 5 attributes of your brand, and then you can combine them all together to create 5 total attributes, because that should be driving throughout your brand the whole time. So I should be able to plug in your website today, Go on your social media today. Go on your, LinkedIn, not so much because it's pretty dry, but like any type of social media or website should 100% represent your brand. And a lot of times it's so diluted. I was just at the WISE conference in Utah, and we had that conversation there. A lot of you want to work with millennials, for example, but then you will say it somewhere in between the lines, is small in small words, or sometimes you won't say that at all. So if you want to work with millennials on your website somewhere, I should see something related to millennials. If you want to work with women, I should be able to go to your website today and see something on your website talking about working with women, or talking about issues women are having with money, or addressing topics that are relevant to women. So again, I should be able to get on social media or your website and know exactly what kind of brand I am looking for. Ideally, I should be able to, see, if not all those 5 things, but I should at least be able to recognize 2 or 3 things that imply your brand just by looking at the pictures, at the website, at the graphics, and recognize that immediately. And then the next step, once you define your brand, the next step is going to be your feeling. Okay, again, you have to decide what type of feeling you're creating as a brand. And it is very, very important because that feeling is going to relate to the transformation opportunity with your clients. Because they, again, people, as I mentioned earlier, buy on feelings. And feelings are very, very important. Feelings is what drives sales for you. So that feeling should be defined by your brand very clearly. So if you look at my brand is defined by joy and sparkle and excitement and being young and being vibrant. So everything in my brand is driven by those attributes, and that's the feeling anybody gets who sees my website. And I literally do tests. I do tests with my clients where I will occasionally screenshot them my website or my Instagram, and I will send it to them because I like to keep myself in check. And I ask them, what type of feeling is that evoking in you? And I can give you an example. About a year ago, we did that with my Instagram account, and I sent it to my clients, and I got pretty much the same consensus back, that all of them said, it's starting to get too much boss and not enough girl. And it was invaluable feedback to me, because this is what happens with my particular audience, because I work with primarily millennials. The minute they start seeing me as too much boss, and that is very true for you as well if you work with other women, the minute they start seeing you as a boss, they put you on a pedestal. And that's when you start hearing expressions like good for her or good for you. I am very glad you're doing this. So, what that means, however, in reality, is that they put you on the pedestal and make you unattainable. And when they can no longer relate to you, they won't buy from you. So, I'm going to repeat this one more time. When they can no longer relate to you, they won't buy from you. So it is a very important rule that whatever you're driving with your clients and the feelings and the attributes of your brand, you never become that unattainable boss-like figure to where they put you on a pedestal and they automatically check out and they think that, they're not good for you or you are not good for them. And it's a big deal. You want them to buy it from you. So you have to make sure that it's attainable. You have to make sure that they relate to you. They want to be like you. And that's why they're going to drive to buy in from you. So that feeling that you're going to create for them is very important. And quite frankly, being in sales, you should do check-ins like that at least once in 6 months. It is not a bad thing to get feedback from your clients. It opens a lot of opportunities for you to do better and to work more on, figuring out and dialing in your brand. and really dialing in your message and transformation. So if anything, it's not a negative, it's actually getting a good feedback so you can improve your sales and improve opportunity to work with clients. And then you want to work on your team list. If you have a team already, that's great. You can run through these factors with them. If you don't have a team, use this as a resource to go find people to help you. And when I'm speaking about the word, when I use the term team, I actually use it very loosely. What I mean by that is these are people who you are, either employing or bringing on board to help you or collaborate with. So team doesn't mean just employees. And you're always going to look for A players, because here's the thing. B players and C players are costly. Those people are actually going to cost you money, and they're actually going to take way more training, and they're actually going to take way more resources for you. So when you're bringing people to collaborate, I personally will not collaborate with people who are B level and C level when I'm playing on the A level, because it takes time. It takes time to train them, to spend, resources on them, and it's just not worth it. So everybody you bring on board should be an A player, granted that you yourself are A player. And even if you're not, you definitely want to work with A players, because they will make you level up. They will make you step up and, do better. Your team should 100% be driven by attitude, because again, sales are driven by emotions. So the attitude is going to determine the success of the team. They may even lack some skills, but if their attitude is not in the right place, it is very, very hard to change, because the hardest things for people is to win against the environment. That's why culture and attitude are so important, because you can put them through best trainings, have them watch the best YouTube videos, have them read the best books and meet the best people and go to most incredible trainings. But if they come back to the environment they don't like and don't thrive at and doesn't make them excited, it is very difficult for people to win against their environment. Your team, as well as you, need to know your niche of clients, and that's going back to what I said earlier, and figuring out that transformation. What type of transformation you're trying to create for the clients in your firm. So your niche should be very, very clear. You should not be the advisor or the team of advisors serving everyone. This is where you essentially lose your marketing. When you serve everyone, you serve no one. And this is probably honestly the hardest argument I have with all my coaching clients, because they all think they should serve everyone. And it's exactly how I give them example of speakers who want to speak to everyone. And essentially you lose your marketplace, because you can't possibly, first of all, serve everyone. You just don't have capacity to do that. You don't have enough time in the day and in the week and in the month. And also, then you can create transformations, because you see, women I serve are professional and millennial. Those are my two women. I work with professional women who are, striving to be leaders in their companies. They're striving to be entrepreneurs, where no matter what position they occupy, they want to be CEO and make their own decisions. And then I work with millennial women who may be in corporate and working on a side hustle, or they're young and entrepreneurial and they're running their own business. That's my niche. I don't want to be serving everyone. I don't want to be working with women that don't fit into those categories, because that is a different approach. So you have to know your niche. You have to know who you specialize with, what is your ideal client, what does your avatar look like, and what type of transformation you're trying to create. Because here's the reality. There are plenty of clients in your niche out there, and you just need to go serve them. You also need to stop motivating your team. And I know it sounds odd, and it actually sounds almost opposite of what you're thinking, but you do. And this is going back to what I said at the beginning of today's session. Motivation, just like inspiration, is very short-lived. It is exciting. It is, very enticing, but it's essentially is like a piece of cake. You look at it, you get excited, you take a couple bites, you may eat the whole thing, and then it's over. So you do not want to motivate your team. You want to empower your team to go motivate themselves. So I'm going to repeat this one again also. You do not. You need to stop motivating your team or people you collaborate with, and you need to empower them to go motivate themselves. There's a big difference here because if people don't know what motivates them, you can't possibly motivate them. So first of all, your teammates, your collaborative mates, I'm making up words, but whoever it is you're working with, they need to know what motivates them. You can help them figure it out, but it is not your job to motivate them. Your job is to empower them, to excite them, to invite them to step up and motivate themselves. That's when transformational pieces happen. Otherwise, they just, wait for you to motivate them. They're literally sitting there waiting for you to give them the next piece of cake. But it's not your job. They need to figure out how they're going to make the cake and eat that too. So your goal is to be that type of leader who stands in the front, empowers them to walk with you, but also empowers them to motivate themselves and to figure out what is it that drives them. Because no matter how strong your why is, if they don't have their own drive and their own why, it literally will not help them. So it's a really, really big difference here. Now, you need to make your sales known. And what I mean by that is you need to start praising people for progress and not performance. Because you see, it's great to have goals. You should absolutely have goals with your team and for yourself. But if you only praise yourself for reaching those goals, all you're really doing are creating stressful situations. You're creating stress and, that hesitation. Can I get this goal? And what happens if I don't get this goal? And then they don't hit the goal. And then they're all stressed out and upset. And it like automatically the whole world goes crumbling. Now, versus if you see that people are putting in effort and if you see that they're, putting in progress, that's where praise needs to come in. And if you've ever worked out in your life or have seen a great workout coach, this is how they get results. The best workout coaches, fitness coaches, do not get results because they praise people for final goals, because sometimes then they would have to have years to get to that. Because, when you get a client that's 304 pounds and their goal is 127 pounds, that's going to be years before they hit that 127 pounds. Would you agree with me? But it's no different in sales. It's no different in training your people. Sometimes you're going to get people who are just going to get slower than everybody else. It doesn't mean they're worse. It just means they're processing at a very different rate. But if you're there with them along that journey, if you're there with them supporting and praising them for putting in effort, they will continue to put in effort and they will continue to put in progress. And if you continuously and consistently showing up and put in progress, you cannot fail. It's just like going to the gym. It's just like changing your diet. If you're consistently eating salads, you cannot possibly gain 60 pounds. That's mathematically and logically impossible. So this is no different for your salespeople and for people on your team who you're training and working with. If you're continuously praising them for progress they're making, they cannot fail because they're going to continuously put that progress, continuously change, and continuously put in effort. Metrics for your team should be simple. I just recently sat down with a finance team here in Phoenix and I was working with their managers and I saw that their metrics, I'm sorry, like I am not in finance, and ideally when you're going over metrics with your team, a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old should understand what it is about. Anybody, even if they're not in finance, should understand your metrics. And I've seen some metrics where managers go over with their team or executives going over their team. And I'm sorry, those metrics look like it's, Einstein wrote them. We're not looking for Einsteins. We're looking for people who sell. And sales are very simple. So whatever metrics and numbers you're expecting from them, they need to be simple and everybody should be able to understand them. So if you have a kid or a grandkid, run it by them. And if they don't understand it, you need to simplify that. And also, you need to model that behavior to hit goals. Because whatever you model, I'm not sure if you heard this line, but I use it with parents all the time when I talk about kids. I say, it doesn't matter what you say, it only matters what you do. It is no different for your team or whoever you want to inspire. You have to model the behavior to hit goals. If you don't model it, you can talk at them, you can lecture with them, you can give them plans to follow, but unless you actually model what it takes and allow them to see your successful calls, allow them to see your successful closings, allow them to actually touch it, smell it, taste it, be a participant in that, they will never be able to do it because they have to actually see that model behavior. So it's very, very important. And also, you need to look for evidence. When you are working and expect with someone and, inspecting their results, them selling you hope is not what you want. You cannot hope that they're going to get better. You cannot hope that they're going to close that amount of clients. You have to look for evidence. And by evidence, I mean that progress, that consistency, that, showing up that they're doing and the actual numbers that they're doing. You want evidence. So them saying, I really hope this happens or I really hope that happens does not do anything for you as a business. And this is where, this is what I call leadership 202. Because truth is, your success directly depends on success of their team, on success of their team, and also directly depends on the success of people you are enrolling to work with you. And as a leader, a lot of times I see that with especially C-level executives and above, they get into this strange position of only looking for things people mess up on. Well, whatever you focus on, your attention grows. So you definitely don't want to focus your attention on negative because what's going to happen is you're going to start growing more negativity. So you need to focus on catching people doing great things. And the more you're going to catch them doing that, and the more you're going to praise them for that progress, the better sales, the better culture, the better excitement you're going to create. And you absolutely need to have few vital functions in your leadership as a leader being at level 202. You need to have a GPS style approach, which I've talked about earlier in the series, which is essentially started with the end in mind, whether it's for your client, where you start with transformation in mind, whether it's for training your team or, rebuilding culture in your office. What is that you're trying to get? And then you build backwards from that point. You also need to have flexibility to pivot. So if you're seeing that something is not working, there is no reason for you to wait a year. Your check-ins should be 90 days, and that's KPIs below. You should have 90-day goals. You should have 30-day check-ins, and then you need to have 7-day check-ins. Your 90-day goals are lofty. Those are detailed. Those are, your big ideas and goals that you're building. You should be pivoting or changing things only at those 90-day steps, because anything shorter than 90 days is not enough to really see if it's working or not working. Now, your check-ins should be every 30 days, and this is where you can make small tweaks. And then every 7 days, you should just check in for positivity, for progress, what's happening. Are the goals enough, not enough? Can we do more? Can we do less? You also need to have insane focus as a leader. Like, you should be that horse at the races that's in the front of everybody with, not being sidetracked, literally looking forward and only focusing on what you're all trying to get. Because again, they're going to model your behavior, whatever behavior you exhibit. And then you need to have those connections to units and measures that I talked about in the previous slide, which means they have to be very simple, very short and sweet, and everybody needs to understand what are they working for. And they need to be numbers driven, not hope driven or emotion driven. And that together, this whole, concoction of factors essentially is what drives leadership 202. So if you have more questions for me, I am putting my information here. You can go see the bootcamps at istartfirst.com, which is a 30-day online bootcamp. You can join at any point. You can email me directly, and my social media is all under my name. This is all I had for you for today, ladies. I am very grateful and thankful for you being with me, hopefully for all 3 installments. You have this information below in PDF format, so anything you need or want is there and available. And before we close out today, we have a few minutes to ask questions. So please, no bad questions. You can ask away anything you need.
Thank you, Olenka. So now opening up for questions. 1 second. Okay. Why falling in love with your message is dangerous?
Because what drives you in this case then is your idea, what type of client and what type of things your clients need, or what is that your team needs. It no longer becomes about them, and it becomes about you. And the minute it becomes about you, you're no longer selling, you're no longer serving, you're actually selling.
Okay. What can you do as a leader for your team?
Empower them to get into progress mode. So figure out their results, figure out what is that they want to reach for themselves, right? That's that GPS approach. Sit down with them, figure out what motivates them with them, figure out the results they want to achieve with them. But then you need to step off that train, because your goal is not to motivate them. You don't want to be a cheerleader standing on this. I mean, you want to be a cheerleader. You don't want to be their pacer. And that's a big difference. You don't want to run alongside with them. You just want to cheer them on, cheer on their progress. So your goal is to figure out what motivates them and then empower them, meaning give them steps, give them progress steps that would get excitement going, and be there to catch them in that progress and putting in consistent steps in that progress, and praise them for that as much as you can. I mean, it's no different than when somebody makes a call and you are there and you catch them on making that call, and you coming back to them saying, listen, I just heard you say this and this was great. I'm so proud of you. Because guess what it's going to lead to? The next time they do that call, they're going to go above and beyond to make sure they, insert whatever it is you praise them on. And that's essentially how you build good habits and excitement with your team.
Okay. And then one more. If you're not the leader, how do you share this message with your leader without offending them?
Just give them the PDF. I mean, you don't have to offend them. You can just come to them. And I mean, honestly, any good leader will appreciate your initiative of, stepping up. And you don't have to approach it with the point of saying, hey, I want to replace you as a leader. You can approach it from the position of, I would like to be a better leader for myself, and I would like to step up in my position, and do better. So I wanted to share some of these ideas and essentially present them as if you're trying to implement them for your position. But you can also say, do you think it would benefit other people on the team? Or do you think, who else do you think it would benefit in our company? And a lot of times, if they're a good leader, they will say, oh, this is great information, I would love to, share it with so-and-so, or you can share it with so-so. Basically, take that position where you are willing to deliver the message, and, you are just excited of building it for yourself, and hopefully they will appreciate it and share it with you and allow you to share it with the rest of the team.
All right. Any other questions? I think we're running late on time, so that's probably why.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes.
All
We have 5 minutes.
right. All right, Olenka. We would like to thank you so much for your commitment to providing WIFS members with quality programming. We'll be sending our audience a brief post-program survey, and we ask that you take a moment to complete the questions. Your feedback is of great value and helps us in planning future programming. We would like to thank our corporate partners for supporting women in the industry, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.